Hello and welcome to the Unlock Lab. I'm your host, Tosca DiMatteo, and I am excited to talk to you today about what to do when your world gets rocked. But first, if you're new to the podcast, let me share a little bit about myself. I do transformation work. I do work to help people get unstuck, get out of their own way, and have a career and life that fills them up. And I help organizations to put people first in their cultures so that people can live to their full potential. I do this work in a number of different ways, be that one-on-one coaching, keynote talks, group facilitation, you name it. If it's about transformation and getting to a whole nother place of possibility, that's the work that I do, and I'll find a way to best support you. Feel free to find out more at coachtosca.com. I'd love to hear from you. There's a way to email me, set up time on my calendar, so go right ahead. All right, so it's January, and at some point this year, I'm going to take a guess that if you're listening to this, something is going to happen this year that's going to throw you really, really off. And I want to talk a little bit about that because these are really incredible moments for you to take advantage of. They're not easy, but on the other side of the breakdown is always the breakthrough. And that's what I really talk about. When you feel like you're going through a breakdown moment, when you don't know how you're going to get to the next day, that's the kind of situation that I'm talking about. It could be the loss of someone you love. It could be a disastrous fight with somebody. It could be extreme disappointment. Perhaps you were promised a promotion and you didn't get it. You were passed over. You know, the list goes on, right? About the things that can really rock our world. And we're certainly usually not prepared for those things. But I also think we don't necessarily have this like toolbox that we're aware of or that we think about that we can use to support ourselves. So I really want to talk a little bit about that so that if at some point this year this happens to you, you come back to this episode and you remember that you've got tools and you can do this and you can get through difficult times and situations. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about really difficult moments and situations is to remember to just live in the present moment. I think we can often start to project and start to think about what's going to happen down the line. And the best thing you can do for yourself is to literally take deep breaths and be in the moment and be where you are. Because when we start thinking about what else is going to go wrong or what this all means, we kind of catastrophize situations and we write the story before it's written. And this isn't fair. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the circumstances. And so stay in the moment, breathe through the moment, just get through each moment to moment. That's one of the biggest, I think, pieces of recommendations I have for really tough times. The second piece is really doing a deep analysis for yourself of what is it that you're really upset about? What is the deepest layer of the hurt that you're experiencing? Because whatever happened to trigger the thing or what's on the surface, that might be what's causing you the heartache, but it might be something way deeper than that. You know, if you take the example of getting passed over for a promotion, right? Yeah, that's disappointing, but it may have rocked your whole world for a whole nother slew of reasons. It may have brought up old feelings. It may have brought up worthiness. It may have, you may realize that you've given away your power and you've latched onto this idea that you know what's going to happen, and you know you're in control, and what's really happening is you just feel like you have no control over your life. And that's the deeper thing, right, than actually not getting the promotion and the feelings that that's causing. So it is really hard work. It is really hard work when you are in a very emotional state to start to unravel and take a look at what's really going on. And you may not be able to do that right away. You may need to do some ultimate self-care. So if you were really, really thrown by somebody or rocked your world, you may need to step away from that person or that situation. You may need to give it space so that you don't do something that you regret or say something that you regret. This is the kindest thing that we can do as humans, I think, when we're triggered, to be very, very careful about what we do in those moments, because we can do some serious damage, even though in those moments, right, like we feel the damage has been done to us as humans, as individuals, as leaders. It is our responsibility to be delicate and gentle with ourselves so that we can do the same for others, and not do harm unto others because we are hurting. And this is where that common phrase you may hear a lot, right? Hurt people hurt people. And this is what I mean by that. Like, if we are not careful about what we do in heightened emotional situations, we are going to perpetuate the harm. So, to yourself and to others, right? So, the other piece, when you're really, really thrown off, right? The thing is that you're not yourself. You may not even literally be in your body. Like, what do I mean by that? Like, you may have been in this fight or flight stage, and you may have just not even been conscious of your body until you're thrown off. Another way to think about this is maybe you couldn't even think anymore. Maybe you were just so filled with rage that you had no control. This is what I mean by, like, maybe not being in your body. Like, you may be in extreme self-protection. You're not super cognizant of how you're even behaving or what's going on because your world was just rocked. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of coming back to nature in those situations, going outside, taking a walk outside, breathing the fresh air. Get barefoot if you want, and walk on the grass. That may sound crunchy for some of you guys out there. But what I'm saying is that when we need to reground ourselves, nature is like the fast track to that, in my opinion. In a similar vein, what we often need to do is clear this heavy energy that we've either absorbed or that has consumed us. And grounding, right, and getting outside and being in nature is a great tool. Also, if that's not available to you or not available as quickly as you want, you can also take a salt bath. Literally sit in Epsom salt water. It's kind of the same idea as if you had access to jump into an ocean. That, you know how when you go in the ocean and you just feel good, you just feel cleansed, you just feel like, oh yeah, right? There's something magical about salt water or water in general. Maybe you get the same feeling from a lake, right? Um, so the idea is, how can you create that for yourself in your home? Maybe you're taking a cool shower, maybe it's a hot shower, maybe you're sitting in a salt bath, and see what happens to your energy. You may think, man, Tosca's crazy. What is she talking about? But if you give this a try and pay attention to subtle shifts in how you're feeling, you may find that you have another tool in your toolbox to get through some really difficult moments. Again, we don't know when these things are going to hit. But if we start even using some of these tools in these less catastrophic moments, then we're building up our resilience. We're building up our toolbox for if and when, because life is going to throw us some stuff. It's just guaranteed, you know? Um, and sometimes I like to I'm tactile. Maybe when I'm having a hard time, maybe I want to hold on to something soft, or I want to hold on to a rock or a crystal or something I can just really wrap my fingers around literally. So whatever that is for you, whatever calls to you, and without judgment. You may be like, I don't know why, but I want to hold this like rose quartz that my friend gave me like 10 years ago. Trust that. Like, trust where your body is gravitating to when you've been really thrown off. Your body knows so much more. It's so much more wise than your mind. And we live in a society that has taught us the complete opposite, that everything is possible with our minds, and it is the number one tool we should be using. And I argue otherwise. I think it's important, but our body keeps the score. Our body knows before our brain does. That's how much more quickly our bodies respond to situations and to solutions. I have to tell you that this isn't what I was planning on talking about, but early this year, I was thrown. And I'm often talking to you about things that I've learned or experiences that remind me, oh, yeah, like people need to know this. They need to have the tools. And and since we're early in the year, I was like, yeah, you know what? This makes sense. Let's give folks some tools so that if and when it happens, you can remember hopefully something from this conversation. It's easy when things get really, really, really tough to tell ourselves a story about how terrible things are and about why is this happening to me? This stuff always happens to me. Or, we look at it in a really, really negative light. And there's so much power in reorienting these hard things to say, what is it I'm here to learn? What pattern am I here to break? What new way can I handle this situation that maybe I haven't tried before? Because I think that when life gives us these really, really hard things, it's our opportunity for a breakthrough. And this podcast was almost called the Breakthrough Podcast, but um, I feel strongly in recognizing opportunities for growth, for personal expansion. And I think it can make life a lot easier if we look at these hard moments and say, I have this opportunity to elevate myself. I have this opportunity to step onto higher ground because the world has given me something for me to um, take advantage of. And I know that that way of thinking about things can be really hard in the moment, but the sooner that you can start to orient yourself in that direction, I'm telling you, it will get easier because then you start kind of looking at it like a puzzle, versus like this victim, like why me mentality that doesn't really serve you, but rather to say, what is the gift in this? What is the opportunity? And it might mean you've got to be really freaking brave and really courageous to react or respond differently than maybe a previous version of yourself would have done. But I'm telling you, when you shift to responding in a way that is actually in your highest good and in the highest good of others, the sky is the limit, my friends, on what you unlock for yourself. And that's why this is called the Unlock Lab, because I want you to unlock your life. And I want 2024 to be it. I don't know where you're at in your kind of mood or your vibe for this year yet. I'm hoping it's getting a little bit brighter, a little bit easier. I'm hoping you're seeing some of the sunlight in the background, and you're walking towards it because you have the power to get to a vibration, to get to a mindset, to get to inspired action that will set you on the path for a 2024 like you could never imagine. And it's only possible if you move intently. If you move intently with your thoughts about how you're talking to yourself, if you move intently with how you want to show up in your job or in your business or with your family. It is that intentionality and the attitude that you take on that will shift your life. And so when things get really, really hard, and I hope that they get hard because you know what that means? That means you're going to break through and something better is on the other side. I hope you have some hard moments because that means you're growing. That means the universe is saying you are ready for something new, a new beginning, a new opportunity, growth. And so when those opportunities come to you this year, man, I hope you take full advantage. I hope you take really good care of yourself when it happens. I hope that you get really careful around who you're around and who you let into your circle when your moments are the darkest, when things get really tough. Cuz then you got to get really really critical about what you're letting in. And that's the media you're consuming, that's the people you're letting get in your ear, that's the how you're talking to yourself and how you're treating your body. Are you feeding it junk food or are you honoring you may need something more nourishing because your heart needs nourishing because you're suffering? Life is also not meant to be done all on your own. And we have to take these moments that are really, really hard and say, what do I need and what support is in my highest good right now? And that may not be your go to people. If you really sit and listen to your heart and say, who can support me? You may think of somebody that you didn't even imagine. It wasn't even, you know, on on your horizon. And you may say, man, I think this person, this old friend, he or she may really understand where I'm at right now and can support me. And when you reach out to those people, when you're struggling, you are giving them an amazing opportunity to use their superpowers to support you. So many people that I work with that I've known over my lifetime are so hesitant to get support when they need it. And they're hesitant because they don't want to be a burden. But the burden is on you to get the support you need. And the burden is on others to let you know if they can't handle what you need to release with them. we've talked a little bit about this in dismantling walls of self-protection episode. So if you didn't listen to that one, I recommend going back. But this is really important. There's a time for kind of going inward and reflecting and understanding self. Absolutely. And when we are so thrown off and we've lost the sense of who we are and our sense of where to go from here or how to even take the next step, it's really helpful to reach out to somebody who can remind you who you are. And you deserve that. You are worthy to be reminded of who you are in your darkest hour. And if you can keep your heart open long enough to let somebody in and give that a try, you are going to unlock something in your life. I hope that this conversation reminds you you are never, ever, ever alone in whatever you're going through. And if nothing else, you just call me. You reach out to me if you feel like you really, really don't have anybody. You just go to my website. I got a phone number on there. You can reach out. You just go to coachtosca.com if you feel like you ain't got nobody, because you do. And I would guarantee that there's also somebody else in your life that you can reach out to if you're completely thrown off and you need to come back to center. When I work with folks who are in transition or they're not happy with their career or oftentimes they're just lost, they've lost who they are. They've lost that sense of, why am I here? And that happens a lot. And it happens a lot because we're often in environments that are really, really harsh, whether it's a work environment or a family environment. When we don't realize that these environments are bringing us down, when they're harmful, when we don't realize, and we've been living in those environments for months or years or even decades, when the veneer cracks and we look around and we say, oh my gosh, wait, I've been putting up with this? Oh my gosh, it can be really disorienting. And also it's amazing because somehow you got to the point where you get to start to question if life can be better. And I'm telling you, if you're asking yourself, can it be better than this? It can be better than this. It can. You have to be willing to fight for it. You have to be willing to get up in your darkest moments and say, something else is on the other side is breakdown, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the breakthrough. I just got to hold on a little bit longer. I just got to reach out. I just got to sit with it. I got to feel the thing and not numb the thing, not numb it with whatever your vices are. You know what I'm talking about. The food or the drink or the medication or whatever. And I mean the abuse of these things, that when you can stop and say, what can I do differently to deal with this and do things in a new way that's actually supportive, not just in this moment for relief, but actually for the long term of transformation. And I'm here for the transformation. I'm saying this stuff to you because this is what I do in my life. I get thrown all the time. And I know I'm getting thrown because I want more in my life. I want all my potential to be reached. I want to break through all my inner critic voices and limiting thoughts and all the mindset bullshit that's not serving me. Like, I'm here to get to the other side. And when I'm on the other side, and I keep taking a step, I want to get to the other side of that because I know there's so much more. And I'm so glad you're here because you're seeing me right now in this moment. And I want you to come back in 5 years and see where I'm at in 5 years. Well, hopefully you stay for the 5 years, but I hope you see what's possible when you keep breaking through and keep breaking through and keep breaking through. You do things like you never thought you were going to do, that scared you before, you thought was for other people. And those opportunities open up because you were willing to say, I deserve more. And I'm willing to stand in it. And I'm willing to be a mess in it. I'm willing to cry and claw and fight my way through it. But I'm always going to be kind to myself in the process because that's number one. If you're fighting with yourself, that just makes it a whole lot harder to get to the other side. And you may have a few more trials and tribulations to go through until you know how to give yourself grace and how to drop the shame and how to shed the light on the darkness so it can't hide anymore. You feel what I'm saying? All right. I just, I hope that this sparks you a little bit. Please reach out to me. If it did, I'd love to hear from you. And it's only January, folks. You've got a whole lot of runway left. This is just the beginning. So, however your year is starting, remember, you can start new every day and every moment, even if you're ready for a new beginning and if you're ready to make the change, if you're ready to break through. It's in your hands. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You've got to be the one to say, 2024 is my year. It's my year. And I know it's your year. So stick with it, folks. I love you to pieces. I'm rooting for you. And I'm here for you if there is anything I can do. All the ways you can get in touch are in my show notes. Please go ahead to that. And if there's something in particular you're really struggling with, as a reminder, I'm opening up a section called Tosca All Access, where you can ask me anything anonymously or not, and I'll tell you what I think to support you in your unlock in whatever situation you're dealing with. I'm so glad you tuned in. I hope you share this if you know of somebody going through a hard time. And if you feel compelled, please follow, rate, and review on whatever platform you're listening to this on, because that helps get more reach for the people that need to hear these messages, the people that need to get out of their own way and find their way through those dark moments of life, because that is life. All right, love you guys. Thanks for coming to the